Hello everybody, and thank you for watching. So R. Kelly is going to beat this case as I suspected in the beginning when they first brought these charges. It just seemed to me like they were trying to put together this documentary, to do it. Like, it was like, let's get the public upset again. Let's do this, let's do that. Most people don't even realize they bring in these cases from 15 to 16 years ago. And these were cases that were previously rejected. So they trying to bring up old stuff that really was I can't say if he was guilty or not. I ain't gonna say the man was innocent. But to the letter of the law, you cannot do that to someone. You know, we have a justice system and we all say we're gonna abide by the justice system, but when we feel like we wanna just stone somebody, we just do it. We ain't got no skeletons in our closet. Like, we ain't do things as a teenager or a person in our 20s that we wouldn't do today as a person older. Like, people don't change. I think he do like younger women, but I also do not think he is sleeping with 14 and 15-year-olds today. I do not think so. And I'm a forgiving person. I mean, and honestly, it's none of my business at this point. It's none of my business. And all of those people that sitting there and talking about, I ain't gonna listen to R. Kelly no more. You was listening to him before this documentary, you phony as fuck. And that's just my opinion. Excuse my language. But you are. Because everything that was said in that documentary, I didn't see no point in that documentary where anyone said he wouldn't let me leave. I ain't see no point in that documentary where there was clear-cut evidence that R. Kelly actually committed a crime. I didn't see any of that. Not any. What I did see was a bunch of people telling us how they allowed this to go on for all these years. I've seen a bunch of people, even the women, okay, some of the women, I'm not going to say all of them, but even some of the women, it was all good. Like, give me a break. Anyway, back to these charges. He's going to beat these charges, and this is why. The evidence that they have does not exist. Because last week when R. Kelly's lawyer was asking for these so-called new tapes, which he knew they didn't exist, because after that first case, I'm telling you, that man was like, this is never going to happen to me again. And he learned his lesson. Trust and believe. Like he said, I read between the lines, like, why would I go and do that after all y'all know me for? Nobody caught that part. Everybody making parodies and I really don't believe he was doing it now. And I don't believe he was doing it over these years. I don't believe he was abusing anybody. I mean, I feel like everybody was willing participants. And when you go to talk about, Stockholm Syndrome and he brainwashed them, let me tell you something. The time that they talking about these charges, this was in the 90s, okay? And this was on the tail of the crack era. Most of these young girls that was doing these things and going out and being with older guys or whatever was not what you thought. We were, and I'm going to say we because I was one of them, a different mindset is all I'm saying. I had a car, I was paying bills, I was taking care of my little brother, and I had a baby at 15 years old. 15 in the 90s was not like 15 today, so I just need people to understand that part. They pretty much thought that the hype from the documentary would fuel enough people to be so outraged that they could bring a case against this man without any real evidence and it stick. And Michael Avanatti, I believe he was doing some crooked stuff to create so-called evidence. And now he's going to get off for stuff that he probably did, but he won't be found guilty of it because of stuff that he didn't do that they're trying to pin on him. But what do y'all think? Check this out.
Well, so we filed a motion asking to preserve all communications with any witness, police, prosecutor, attorneys, and so forth. And then we learned something that I knew that Michael Avanatti was involved with some of the people in this case, but I think what the state said is he represents witnesses in each of the cases, which is just crazy to me. No, we didn't say that. No, she said that he represents people in each of the cases. That's what she said. We don't know. We know in two of the cases he represents people. We know that he was representing people before the grand jury. We know that he's not a licensed lawyer in Illinois, so that's the unauthorized practice of law. We know what he says about what he does. We know how he operates. And we know that what happened in this case was a result of his pressure and nothing else. Because I've seen the evidence so far. and they just don't do this. They don't bring back cases that were rejected 15 years ago. They don't indict cases without talking to witnesses and doing a thorough investigation, and that's what happened in this case. A rush to judgment, a rush to prosecute because of pressure, all polluted by Michael Avanatti.
Why wait until Avanatti is under scrutiny for Kim Fox is now under fire? Why wait? You felt like they were conspiring together. Why did you wait all this time?
I said the first night when I was at the police station that this was wrong, that they had rushed to judgment, that they had succumbed to pressure. That's what I said the first night before we'd been to court and we'd seen anything. Then we started to get the evidence. We got a little bit of the evidence, and we can see that there's all sorts of problems. We didn't wait. We didn't rush. Maybe if he didn't have these problems right away, we would have waited longer till we had more of the evidence. Maybe not. But we know that he's got these problems. When you get in bed with fleas, this is what happens.
So are you saying that Kim Fox, if I'm at home and I'm listening to you talk about this, and obviously everybody's focused on R. Kelly, tell me what you think is wrong about this case and how it's charged with pulled.
What's wrong with this case is that there is no case. There's no new tape. Avenatti's full of it when he said there was a new tape. There are old cases that were rejected, and understand we're limited what we can say about the evidence by our rules here in Illinois, rules that he didn't feel constrained by because he's not a lawyer here in Illinois. But I've never heard of, in 33 years of doing this, I've never seen a case where it's rejected after a full investigation and then 15 plus years later without any reinvestigation, just because the sort of public perception has turned that it's charged. There is a case involving a young lady who wrote a book where she said, I lied to R. Kelly about how old I was. Telling you they're 19 years old, mom doesn't say that's wrong. And there's problems with all of the cases. All the cases, they shouldn't have been brought. There's all this pressure. There was a so-called documentary which was really just a hatchet job that was done. And then they indicted these cases. And the problem is there was this call from the prosecutor. People call, let us know what happened. And so far, from what I can tell, the only people who called all of a sudden ended up with Michael Avenatti is their lawyer.
So Steve, are you saying that Michael Avanatti pressured Kim Fox to bring these cases?
Absolutely.
When you say
Are you saying that Kim Fox?
Can you talk about the motive today and why you want these emails and texts?
Sure, we've already seen that State's Attorney Fox has conversations with people about pending cases, pending investigations. I want to know what conversations she had with Avenatti about this case, about these facts, and what occurred. I think it's totally appropriate.
Kim Fox fed him clients?
I'm alleging that it looks like she may have, yes.
When you say there's no new tape, are you saying that tape at the center of one of those indictments is the same one at the center of the child pornography trial?
I believe that is the exact same tape, yes. What I know?
Have you seen the tape yet?
What I know, look, think of me like a good reporter like you, Megan. I have my sources. You have your sources. I'm basing it on what my sources are telling me.
Can you comment on your concerns about the Justice Smollett situation and how you think that potentially could impact our trial?
I don't think that the Jussie Smollett situation is going to impact R. Kelly's trial. I think what it shows us is how this office operates. Or at least how some, I don't want to say, this office is full of great prosecutors, 99% of them. I think what we're talking about is the upper reaches.
Today you withdrew your motion to allow R. Kelly to travel. Explain the logic behind it.
Well, because we don't have the information. We don't have another court date scheduled. If he needs to travel for concerts, that's going to be handled by Mr. Anton, and we'll let him deal with it.
What are the chances of actual travel?
I have no idea. I think the chances of him traveling in a couple of weeks are probably zero at this point.
Avanatti has responded to what you're saying, and he tweeted out that he feels like R. Kelly's attorney is now trying to distract attention away from the clear guilt of his client by raising bogus arguments about he and Kim Fox. The evidence is the evidence. Multiple witness tapes plus DNA. What's your response?
So the DNA that I've seen thus far is not new DNA tests. It's the same DNA information they had when they rejected these charges years ago. And I don't need to respond to Mr. Avanatti. You know, Mr. Avanatti thinks that he is the truth. He is the oracle of truth. I think the federal prosecutors disagree in New York. He's entitled to presumption of innocence like anyone else, but they disagree. The tapes don't bear that out. The prosecutors in California disagree. When everything somebody touches is like this, what happened here is they got in bed with Avanatti, and Avanatti is toxic. Everything he touches seems to blow up, and that's what's going to happen here.
You said that the state's attorney wanted to find out if he was manipulated.
Well, we'll see what this stuff shows. But I think it's obvious when he was coming in here, he was having press conferences, he was spending hours and hours meeting at the state's attorney's office, that some kind of influence was going on. He was having very public outcries to do something. You have to do something. I also have a problem with the fact that he was representing witnesses before the grand jury, and he is not licensed to practice in Illinois. That is the unauthorized practice of law, and it's improper. I'm sure he'll say otherwise.
So there you have it. But, you know, I'm not by no means saying that it is okay for grown men to sleep with teenage girls. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is we need to stop publicly convicting people of things that we have no evidence of. I was not in the room with R. Kelly and any of those girls, and that's how I'm gonna look at it. They say they had this, they say they had that. I didn't see anything. And if we go back to that tape back in the day, maybe that was him. I don't know. But all I'm saying is people deserve a fair shot. And if we're going to go to the letter of the law and we're going to follow the justice system, then that's what we need to do. And if this man is found not guilty or have not been convicted of a crime, we do not have a right to sit there and be throwing stones at him. Like, that's just how I feel. Well, that's all for now. But make sure y'all check back for all that and some more.